Welcome to Forbes Newsroom. Joining me now is Forbes contributor Toni Fitzgerald, who covers the business of television. Toni, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So Netflix recently made a huge announcement regarding introducing an ad-related tier. Can you expand on that?
Sure. So there had been speculation that this was going to happen for some time. Netflix has hinted at it for a while and then came out and said earlier this year that it was on its way. Some of the really salient points for the new tier are it's about half the price of the original. It's going to be $6.99 per month. There will be about 4 to 5 minutes of ads per hour. And Netflix says that it has already sold out of the initial inventory. So clearly there's a huge interest in it from advertisers.
And when will this ad-supported tier debut?
So it's going to begin rolling out a little later this year in November. Well, actually, I guess that's not too much later. We're already midway through October. So it's going to roll out in November. And on the earnings call yesterday, Netflix said it doesn't anticipate that it's going to have a huge impact on its fourth quarter numbers. It's more of a rollout that we'll see the impact of in the coming year.
And let's say you get the ad-supported tier. How many ads can you expect to watch in an hour of viewing?
So there should be about, I would estimate, probably 10 to 12 per hour. They're going to make it so 4 to 5 minutes. Usually the average ad is about 30 seconds, but we are talking about Netflix, which has always been an innovator. So you might see a little bit of creativity with those ad pods. They will probably space it out. You won't expect to see them all at once. You'll see it interspersed throughout your viewing.
You know, and speaking of the creativity, I know Hulu has the option for some ads that the user can pick the ad experience. Do you think Netflix will roll out something similar?
So I don't see that happening with the initial ads that get rolled out with the service in November, but I imagine that in the coming year we can see a lot of different experiments. Netflix has always been known for its innovation. And while they're coming to the advertising party late, I imagine that they have a lot of ideas to keep viewers engaged. Those Hulu ads are great because they really force you to interact with the content. And as we know, the more a user interacts with an advertiser, the more they're going to remember them. And that is the goal that makes a happy advertiser. So I'm interested to see what comes out of Netflix in the coming year.
And just yesterday, Netflix announced in an earnings report that they actually gained 2.4 million paid subscribers in the third quarter. So this is a reversal from Netflix losing subscribers in the last 2 quarters. So because of that subscriber gain, do you think that this announcement to incorporate an ad-supported tier is a little too soon?
I don't. I think that one hallmark of Netflix has always been get ahead of the game. If you look back to when they introduced, first streaming content moving from the DVD by mail model, and then began producing their own original content, they've always been a little bit ahead of the marketplace. You do not want to get behind here. You do not want several quarters worth of declining subscriptions because that's harder to crawl out of. I will point out that the growth was very impressive, but a lot of it came from overseas, where Netflix is still, it's younger than it is over here. It's been around longer here. So they are still looking to reverse that tide in North America. I think they only had about 100,000 new subscribers during third quarter versus 1.3 million in, for example, Asia Pacific. So they're getting ahead of things. They want this to go smoothly. The easier that it goes, the better it will be received by Wall Street. And Wall Street was very excited yesterday by, that reversal of the subscribers decline.
And can we take a step back here and discuss why Netflix was losing subscribers in the first place? Because ever since it went to streaming, this is pretty unprecedented for the streamer.
Yeah, so it had been 10 years since Netflix had seen a decline in subscribers. There are a number of things at play here. I think first and foremost, we cannot discount the impact of the pandemic on this and basically everything happening in media. So during the pandemic, people were inside all the time. They were bored. They boosted their streaming subscriptions. Netflix saw an unprecedented rise in subscribers during that period. And so I think some of this is just a natural balancing out of the marketplace. That sort of growth is not sustainable over the long term, especially when restrictions were limited, people started going outside, they started doing things again. I think the secondary thing, and this is going to continue to be a factor, is the greater competition that Netflix has been facing over the past few years. When it launched House of Cards, it was really the only streamer in the marketplace that had original content, and one of only three for a while, along with Amazon and Hulu, that offered new shows. Now it seems like you have a new destination for streaming launching just about every week. I mean, we've had Disney Plus, we've had Apple Plus TV, HBO Max, Peacock, Paramount Plus. Could go on and on. Some of these are lower priced services that also have ad-supported tiers already. That has sort of softened up the marketplace for Netflix. People are starting to get a little more used to watching the ads again. I think competition is a great thing always for industries. So we will see over the next few quarters what the most important factor was in those declines, but I do think the competition is going to continue to be something to watch.
So we're going to keep watching this, but do you think that the first 2 quarters of this year with the subscription decline, do you think that's just a temporary hiccup, or is that going to be more of the trend going forward for Netflix?
So I think that fourth quarter will really be where we see where it lands. There is a good chance that it could continue to grow. The streaming service has some big shows coming up. There's still a lot of buzz around the Jeffrey Dahmer show. There's a new season of Bridgerton. There's a lot of things coming up, and Netflix does tend to rise and fall a lot on the content. I think it's possible we could see another rise in subscribers, but I do think it's telling that Netflix is already telling its shareholders that they no longer see subscribers as the most important metric when they are reporting their earnings. They are going to put more of an emphasis going forward on profitability. So that to me indicates that maybe Netflix is a little uncertain if this was a hiccup or a long-term trend.
And do you think that this strategy of an ad-supported tier is just a Band-Aid, a short-term solution to this problem of purging subscribers? Or do you think that this could be a long-term solution to help gain subscribers?
I think this could be a long-term solution. For a very long time, Netflix resisted advertising because it was not what the consumer wanted. If you look back in time, Reed Hastings, the co-founder and co-CEO of Netflix, has always been very on top of what the consumer wants. That has driven the vision for the streamer for all these years. And I think he has watched the marketplace enough to know with confidence that when they introduce this, they are looking to stick with it for the long term. I think that especially as a medium matures, as we're seeing now with streaming, a lot of different things do get tried out. Not all of them will last, but I think that seeing the platforms for Peacock and Hulu, which do have advertising integrated, we've seen it work well enough that I can't imagine it would not work for the long term for Netflix.